Good evening, everybody. How are we doing tonight? This is When in Rome with Michael and Matt. I am
What
your
up?
host, Michael Oden. This is Matt Crotts. And
Howdy.
today we're going to have a Kyrie special, which is very, very exciting. Kyrie, of course, being Matt Crotts' book, of which the third volume has just completed and he's started fulfillment of, I believe. And I would love
There's some notes on that. But yeah, it was supposed to be. But
Um,
we'll get into that.
I was very fortunate, and Matt sent me my copy of book 3 before uh, before anybody else, really,
Yep.
which is
I sent you
exciting.
my copy actually. My proof.
What?
So I actually don't have Kyrie 3 anymore. But I was happy to send it your way. So
Oh my God, so humbled. Um, uh, I'm having some internet issues, so I'm doing this from my phone, sadly. So I'm not sure how good I'm going to be about checking the chat tonight, guys. I'm going to do my best. I might not be able to pull chats up on the stream, but Matt, if you can keep a monitor on the comments and let
absolutely.
me know.
I'm from my desktop tonight, funnily enough, which I never
Outstanding.
am. So I can easily keep track of it.
Um, that's good. I think I might be getting things somewhat working on my computer, but I'm not going to be banking on that for the show. So I'm hoping that at the very least I'm able to share screens when it comes down to our campaigns because I mean obviously we want to show Kyrie as we talk about the book and what have you, but also I want to show off Judex because one, we're live, and two, there's some news on that front that is more than a little bit annoying. Uh, but we'll get to that. I don't want to weigh this down with negativity right now. We're going to focus on the good that is Kyrie. So first things first. On the off chance that the 0 people in our chat currently,
Yeah.
and let's make sure we boost out the link here.
Yep.
Well,
Retweeting.
here, but I'm going to buy myself some time to do that. And so what I would like you to do, oh, we've got a guest who's with us. Are they in the comments at all? No?
No, it could be me.
It could be okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us the pitch.
Yeah, so Kyrie is a sword and sandal romance of the sands historical fiction adventure story. Uh, so there's treasure, there's ancient curses in forgotten tombs, there's Alexander the Great, there's the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Well, the decline at least, and
It's falling. But
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not gonna. I
uh,
didn't mean to step on your toes on that. You finish your pitch. I didn't mean
yeah.
to Kanye you.
No,
And
yeah,
created
yeah.
reference
No,
at
you
this.
can. You don't have to let me finish. Hey, Colin Lamping in the chat, by the way, he says he's crashing through a window. I must have Kyrie 3. Uh, so soon. You and I can both taste it, Colin. Thank
Yeah,
you for being here.
I feel kind of bad. I just found out that I have Matt's copy. He sent me his copy of the book. I have the first copy of Kyrie in my possession, and Matt. Oh man, I wish my internet weren't like messing up and I could come on video to show this. But Matt did his promise to me. I asked. He normally draws one of like the main characters for people. Um. Uh. And I was like, I don't want like no disrespect, but I
Yeah,
want Alexander. And
yeah.
Matt delivered. He drew Alexander in the front sleeve of my book.
I thought
I'm
I'd give
very
him like a Wojak Alexander. Like
yes.
he's
I did
going through a
notice
lot
that.
right now. Like he's,
You
you know,
definitely made him like a Chad theme.
yeah,
I was like, man, he's got a thicker chin than how he has in the book.
yeah.
He's he's Chadosaurus Alexander. Um, but
I thought you'd appreciate that.
so everyone gets a drawing in his front covers.
Hmm.
Um, like that's something that Matt just does because he's awesome.
Yep,
Um,
yep. And if you have a special request, just let me know. In a DM or something, so I can keep track of it.
I have said this before, and I will say it a million times more. I do not think that there is a single creator in this sphere that is as dedicated. Actually, that's not true. Aaron Neff, but
Yeah,
Matt
absolutely,
is
Aaron.
up. Uh, Matt is definitely up there in terms of providing the best customer experience with his product. You get like his Rubicon package is nothing short of exceptional, and he specifically like he actively goes through and draws little like headshots in your interior covers for all of his backers, and I think that that's absolutely exceptional. And there's not a lot of like it's one thing to sign your book. It's another thing to get like a nice little head sketch in there. It's very Eric Shanower of him because Eric Shanower does the same thing with Age of Bronze. If you buy it from his personal store, he will draw a headshot there for you. Although Matt's better than Eric Shanower because I personally requested Eric Shanower to draw Achilles and Hector fighting in my front cover, and I paid
Mm.
extra, and the bastard didn't do it when he said
Oh
he would.
no.
I was so livid. I'm still angry about that. That was 4 years ago, Matt. 4 years ago, I asked for that, and I got
Mm.
my book, and he
Those
and
those
the,
those wounds, they yeah, they're deep,
to
and
make it
they
worse, Matt, do you know who he fucking drew? Do you know who he drew in my front
no.
cover instead
Who
of
did he
Achilles
draw?
versus Victor? He drew Agamemnon.
Yeah.
What a dick. Um, but
Yeah.
anyway,
It's about the antithesis. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, gee, thanks. That's exactly what I asked for, except not at all. Anyways,
Yeah. Well,
but yeah,
and it's gonna be fun to talk about Kyrie and Judex at the same time because, I mean, what you guys do. I mean, I'm so envious of what you've been doing with your campaign. There's so much that I think when it comes to crowdfunding, like it's not just about selling a book; it's about doing things that can't scale. I think like you have
I,
to really take care of
I've got
100
to
and 200
pause because I
people.
didn't notice this. Colin Lamping having a Toby Maguire Peter Parker on a pizza clock is by far one of the greatest YouTube things I've ever seen. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah,
Pizza time it is indeed.
it's always pizza time.
Anyways, uh, but like we'll talk a little bit about Judix towards the end, but I really want this to be a Kyrie special because what you have here is great. Um, so to get back to it, we were talking about your pitch where it's like, and I think that you undersold it in my opinion. It's like there's so much more to this book. If if I were to pitch Kyrie, setting is North Africa, crisis of the third century. And at the
Mm,
heart of Kyrie is this parable of the morality of empire. And that's really what goes throughout the entire series is what are the black and whites of good and evil in this imperial state? You know,
mm,
like because and the reality is as you go through the book that it's way more shades of gray and there's so many different perspectives to be taken. And at the heart of this story, this morality tale of empire, is Alexander the Great,
yeah.
who at this point in history is by and far the most influential human being to have ever lived. And and so the heart of this story is his spiritual journey to the Siwa Oasis. Um, we are joined by Dean James of Comics Mate, who's saying, "Don't mind me. I'm just here to fix the window."
Thanks,
Fair
Dean.
enough.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to. I was trying to tape up a blanket over the window, but maybe you've got a more permanent solution in mind.
And Dean is intentionally saying this to get under my skin because he's literally heard me give lectures on Alexander the Great on the phone ad nauseum. In fact, I would be I would be willing to bet that Dean has learned more about Alexander the Great from me than he has in his entire time schooling, and it's not been voluntary. It's just him listening to me yell about the character for like an hour and a half at a
Yeah,
time.
Odin's he's yelled at me about him about a year or so ago, or maybe it was last fall, and it helped me. I kind of rewrote the script a little bit um, as a result for Kyrie 3. So
Well, and apparently you took some notes
I
for
did.
Kyrie 4 from our conversation the other day.
Yeah.
B Rose has joined us. All right, I'm here. I actually had a talk with B Rose earlier because he sent out the digitals of his book Cerebrum here
Oh,
today,
great.
and I got a chance to
Excellent.
read that, so I gave him some feedback. Colin Lamping hitting us with the ultimate
Good one.
question: who's a better general, Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great? Um, that is tough. I'm going to have to give it to Caesar though. Alexander was a good general and tactician, but he was especially by the end was way more of a warrior. He was out there with his soldiers in the fray. Um, it cannot be discounted how critical Alexander's Deodaci were in his success throughout his later campaigns and how much they held up in terms of the strategic standpoint in helping out with his battle plans, especially as they went into India. Um, Julius Caesar was a one man, uh, like like
Yeah.
the closest martial prowess figure to Julius Caesar in history would be Napoleon Bonaparte. Like that's really the only person that holds a peer to Julius Caesar from a sheer tactical standpoint. So I'd have to give that to Caesar. I love Alexander. I'm a huge Alexander stan. My senior seminar in college was all about the Persianification of Alexander the Great as a political tool. Um, but yeah, Colin Lamping says Caesar be like, I'm gonna build two walls around Elysia overnight. Yeah,
Well,
that's pretty much how that goes.
Yeah, and
Um,
there's no reason to think that there were like companions surrounding Caesar, letting him know, like giving him advice on how to deal with this or
he
distributing that.
certainly had like understudy commanders, but Caesar was the one that was devising the strategies, and on top of that, Caesar was the one that inspired his men. And to Caesar's credit, Caesar never made a situation where he lost the loyalty of his soldiers, whereas Alexander the Great certainly did.
Mm,
Um, uh, Alexander's adoption of Eastern customs was seen as him falling into the same egomaniacal traps of the Persian kings of old, and it caused a permanent rift between him and his men. Frankly, one of the big questions of Alexander the Great is whether or not he would have been able to do more if he had lived. And the more that I've studied, the more that I've come to the conclusion that it's no. No, he
mm,
wouldn't. And the reason is that even if he had lived, the army that had gained him the world that he had conquered would not have followed him again. That relationship had been completely severed, and while he had tried to repair it in the Sousa weddings, it ultimately it didn't work. And
yeah.
the probably the biggest piece of evidence of this is that after Alexander dies, all the Deodaci who were married to Persian brides, save like one or two, divorced their wives after Alexander's death, and it was like a driving point of the Deodaci Wars. So like
Mm,
it was a hollow olive branch. Um,
yeah. That's what's
so
kind of, don't you think it's kind of what makes Alexander more interesting in some ways, because he
oh,
kind of like
100%.
got to
I
the
think
end,
Alexander
the
is one of the
limits of what any like he actually kind of traveled to the ends of what anyone could tolerate in a way.
oh, one
It's
hundred
interesting.
percent. And like to that effect, as much as I love I love both of those characters, but I have so much more adoration for Alexander just because I think that he's a fascinating character that was centuries, if not millennia ahead of his time. Uh, and how he not only was a martial genius, but a genius of diplomatic warfare and statecraft. There are a lot of things that ancient historians equate to Alexander feeding into his own ego. And while I do certainly think that there is a grain of truth in it, I think that when you study not just Alexander, but his father, Philip, it becomes very clear that Alexander was using the culture of the people he conquered to rule them, because it is way better to play into the cultures that you rule and pay respect to those things and show that you respect those things, so that way you can blend the line between the conquered and the conquerors.
Mm,
You can blur it a lot. And in fact, and because this is in fact what Philip did in Greece, is Philip conquered Greece, but he never crowned himself as king, because the majority of the Greek polis at this point in time had been democracies. So what did he do? What did he do? He brings together a council of Corinth and launches a war campaign against Persia to avenge the burning of Athens from the Second Persian War, and names himself as the strategoi of this Pan Hellenic League. Um,
mm,
because the Greeks might not follow a king, but their armies have to follow a general.
mm,
And
mm-hmm.
so, in that way, Philip subdues all of Greece and makes it his kingdom without being its king. And this is again going into the whole playing off the culture that you're ruling. They're never going to accept him as king. One, they haven't had a king in years, and two, He's a Macedonian, which is only marginally better than a Persian in the eyes of the Greeks. They're not going to accept that. So yeah. Anyways, point is, I've kind of gone off on that. Really quickly, B Rose, you're very welcome. It was a pleasure talking with you today. I hope that my insight was helpful. Um, Clearly, my ranting about Alexander is chasing people away because we've gone from 4 viewers to one for the past 10 minutes, which is literally all me talking about Alexander's. Um,
I thought they'd appreciate that.
I did too. Colin Lamping's clearly still with us though, because he's asking, do we get to see Alexander the Great's ghost in Kyrie 3? I won't spoil it for you, but I'll just say it's better.
Yeah, kind of yes and no, no and yes. Like
Yeah,
he's definitely he's there to be a part of the conversation in a sense. And as Mike pointed out after reading this, he helped me kind of realize that Alexander the Great is really kind of the main character of Kyrie, even if he's not in every scene.
And so, I don't even know if calling him the main character is right. He is the subject of Kyrie. Like
certainly
Kyrie,
that. Yeah.
Kyrie is a morality tale of empire, and the thing that's being studied at the heart of this morality tale is Alexander. And he is the force that drives the narrative, and he is the most important character of the book, even when he's not actively a part of the story. It's all about him. He is the subject, and this is where I can't talk anymore, because Matt and I had a very, very detailed talk about what's coming next, and I can't say shit because I can't do that. But man, you guys are in for a treat. So let's talk about Kyrie. Let's get back to Kyrie. So book one, we start off. We're in Alexandria. It's the we're in the middle of the crisis of the third century, which for those of you guys who are unaware is this kind of period where Rome is in eternal free fall. You have the Pax Romana has since ended. Praetorian guards have been selling off the crown to whomever. Occasionally, you'll have somebody that holds on to the emperorship for a while, but the different parts of the Roman Empire are kind of splitting off, and you'll have an occasional general that'll come and declare themselves the new emperor of Rome. We've been joined by Nefarious. You guys still do this show? Come on, Otto. Spill the beans and spoil the plot. I'm the only one watching. That's true. I'm watching. Fair enough, guys. We play nice in the chat, please. Play nice in the chat, please. Anyways, but so, so we're in this third century crisis, and a Roman senator has arrived in Alexandria for the festival of Alexander that the Ptolemies have been hosting, that the Ptolemies had created and been hosting through Egypt throughout their time, and had been carried on through this. So let's dive in there. What inspired you to write Kyrie? I mean, obviously you've talked about how there's a lot of ties to kind of trying to do a antiquities Indiana Jones style story. But what made you pick third century crisis Alexandria? What was the thing that drew you there?
Well, okay, so it had to be something that I was that I felt it had to feel like there was a period in history where there's a lot of transitions happening, and if you could take if you pick a period that people already feel like is kind of a settled context, it's already a setting that people are already familiar with completely, and they know the beginning and end of. I feel like it's a lot harder to write a script within that. I think it's easier to write something when people have a clear idea what comes before and after, but they're not quite sure about the middle bit. And if you can kind of dive into that with them, usually people feel like it's more relatable because I mean, frankly, like, the modern day feels like it's always in flux. So if you can demonstrate to them there's a time period that's also in flux, I think it's kind of, you can do fun stuff, and it's just easier to do conflict in that time period too. And I still wanted to do a time when uh, there were at least some togas and some kind of like draped cloth, because it's easier to hide anatomy that I'm still trying to learn how to draw. If I can just drape, I can draw cloth, but
That's amazing. That's the
yeah.
best excuse that I ever. Like
I mean,
really,
you got to play to your strengths and acknowledge your weaknesses. So,
really, what this is about is that Matt can hide all the stuff that he can't draw behind a toga. That's really what this is all about.
yeah, or cloaks,
Um,
or yeah, tunics.
so we have some playfulness in the chat there. Neff was commenting earlier about so tempted to ban you from the stream so I can be right at Colin. And then he acknowledged, but I can't be responsible for gatekeeping the chat. That's Bancroft's job, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Colin Lampton has said that he will have us know that he is Matt's number 56676 fan. I'm not gonna try and make that an actual numeral. I'm way too tired for that. So let's go on and talk about the story that's gone so far. So in book one, um, there's this gem that the what's that? By third century crisis, it's still the Parthians. Um, so the Parthians, who are the inheritors of the Achaemenid Persian Empire after the Seleucids, um, they have brought this jewel to Alexandria as kind of a peace offering. This jewel is actually a secret message.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a
that
message in a bottle in a way.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it informs who has it a the secret that lies in Siwa Oasis effectively, right? It guides them to the tomb of the oracle at Siwa, um, because this jewel was meant to be received by Alexander, um, but Alexander perished before he could receive it. Is effectively what this comes down to. So this spurs our main characters on their journey from book one to book two to getting a guide through the North African desert, uh, the North African portion of the Sahara Desert, get down and get to the Siwa Oasis. And so that's really where we get to in book three. Now, book three is very different. The first two books, you have a pretty solid and sizable amount of action. And while there's one or two solid action sequences in book three, this is way more of a verbal sparring match to debate what is, in my opinion, the heart of this story, this morality of empire. And you have some fantastic bits in here. I've flagged a few quotes, but I think I'm just going to share one that I absolutely just love. That's part one. There's part three. I've got all three of the books on my desk. Um,
This
you
guy
have
is too much. Don't you guys in the chat love Mike? He's an amazing guy.
so there's this interaction between what I keep forgetting her name. Um, it's Mir, right?
Yeah, Myra. Yeah.
Myra. Okay. So there's
Or
this interaction.
Mira. Yeah. I mean, depending. Yeah.
There's this interaction between uh Mira and her like former mentor uh about the Romans, and her former mentor is kind of talking about how they're driven by gold, and
Mm.
so he says like, you look for gold in these sands, yes. Why else would you bring those Roman dogs with you? Their kind are always looking for gold. And then she responds with, um, oh, hold on. I'm at the wrong part, of course. So we're gonna actually skip a page. So her she's they're talking about gold, Rome's like thirst for gold and everything like that. And so her mentor goes, "That is their evil, and in that we will never be the same." And so Mira responds with, Axel, in my experience, it isn't gold that motivates these Romans, not really. I think that they're the first people to dream of something else entirely. They call it iron. Romans resemble the stuff, actually. The ore's dull, brittle, wholly unattractive. To purify it takes more than effort than seems practical. Even with a little polish, it could never outshine other metals. It's inferior in every aspect, save one. Because it's with iron they get their strength and a peculiarly deadly edge. What a fantastic way to sum up Rome. It may not be the prettiest thing. It may not always be the prettiest thing on the map, but it has a deadliness to it that is unique. And it's had to be this way since its inception. Because they are surrounded by enemies. Like Italy is at the center of continental Europe. Everything's around it. And despite being at that disadvantage, it conquered the freaking world. It conquered the world it existed. In fact, it pushed past the boundaries of what they knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a very incredible and insightful passage, and it's a real testament to your writing here. Um, and this is by and far your strongest written book, and it has to be. There isn't a lot of fighting. This is very much the bridge of the gap between the two prior action pieces and what's going to be a finale with a massive explosion.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a bit of a calm before the storm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and so you have
and
to build that tension in
and
other
so
ways.
when
Mhm.
we talked on the phone, I want to say it was a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, you said something brilliant, which was this book wasn't a battle of action, it was a battle of words. And I think that that's the perfect way to put it because everybody is putting down their own views and fighting each other with them. People are fighting with their opinions against one another, and that is the sword that they brandish in this issue. And as such, you get a lot of great character interactions. Um, and it might make for a slow read for some, but it was easily some of like my favorite writing that you've done. You have some genuine
Thanks.
gems in this book. I really wish I could read them all to you, but I genuinely believe that you guys need to experience that for yourself. Um, so like
Yeah.
uh, if you
I think,
somehow
do you think like one of the things that attracts me to Rome, to ancient Rome, is how, I mean, selfishly, it's like how easily I can see a lot of aspects of our modern culture in Rome compared to other cultures. Like we're just like, speaking as an American, we're just like eminently practical. You know what I mean? We find we go out of our way to find what everyone else is doing, and they might do it more beautifully, but we're gonna make a lot of money doing it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And like there's a lot that actually we intentionally or unintentionally kind of inherit, I think, from something. It's not it'd be bad to say like it's the first modern culture or modern empire, but it kind of foreshadows what modern empires would become in really dramatic ways. That the Persians, the Greeks, the Egyptians, uh, like they're all in a different category compared to Rome, and I think it's really fun to, and we used to do this in movies, and like early, like golden era Hollywood used to play with this sort of theme. And I think it's fun to kind of uh, to resurrect it a bit, to play with it in a comic book. So
Aldous joins in the chat. Eminent practicality are not words I use to describe contemporary America. Maybe not contemporary, but I'd say historically
that's
pretty
fair.
consistent through the 20th and into the 21st century. But yeah.
Yeah, some would say that the fall of the Roman Empire started to happen when they stopped being practical. Maybe,
Well,
I don't know. Depends on how you
I
want
mean, we
to.
we might be like one or two presidents away from chicken emperor status. But anyways, oh goodness. All right. So having gushed about the book enough, let's pull up your campaign real quick. I know we've shared it on here before. So like we
Yeah. Do you want me
like
to?
no, I've got I should be able to do it.
Okay.
We'll
Great.
we'll try this. Here we go. My internet has been not cooperating today, so hopefully we can do this. Alrighty. So I'm not going to play the trailer because we're having some issues. When are we going to get our own Crisis in the Third Century? Technically, it is the third century of America existing right now. I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
we might be getting it like full stop. I mean, who knows? Maybe in the next year or so, you're just going to have random senators claim that they're actually the president or some shit. I don't know.
Don't rule it out.
So, I mean, the art in this book is fantastic. Let's just focus on the tiers here real quick. So, Kyrie Epic Book 3 edition. This obviously is your Rubicon package at which you've given 26% off. It's an $80 value and you're charging $60 for it, right? Plus shipping. You've got digital tiers. You've got the Wild Tales. You can also buy book 3 by themselves, catch up on PDFs. These were the things that really impressed me. And you got another $60 out of me for them. Annotated editions of book 1 and 2. As a history nerd, this was just like, I was incredibly impressed. Annotations are a pain in the ass. So the idea that you went back and brought forward all of your historical research and are putting in like footnotes and then creating an end note. Okay, so the real question: what style did you use?
Oh, you mean like PLA or something?
Yeah, like did you use Chicago Turabian? Did you do MLA? Did you do
Well, I'm about to send it off to the printer, and I'm wondering. I mean, I'll take advice on that because I was thinking I'm trying to get at an all age audience a little bit more, so I was just kind of
for anything history? We generally use Chicago Turabian.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have it in though?
I have it in first person narration is what I'm doing. But maybe that's not the right approach. I mean, I have all my references, but I'm not annotating in that academic sense of annotation.
Okay. Well, that's still cool. I'm still down with that. Like if you're giving like first person narration on certain things and it's like effectively an extra written chapter of the book, that's still cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I'll say, like, okay, this scene is riffing off of the Aeneid, and
Oh, that's great. That's really cool.
yeah, and so yeah, and the way that
So it's like
got played with through the ages had this kind of effect, and I'm kind of echoing that.
I structured this scene to kind of play off of this this Roman text, and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is like the kind of tale that I was trying to. I like that. That's a
Like
great.
Virgil, like he had this moment in this chapter. He meant this with that scene, but other people have played with it in these other ways, and I'm doing that again by playing with it in a different way that's engaging with all those different ways that Virgil kind of, you know,
Colin comment, Matt citation. I made it up.
yeah.
It also,
I'm sorry.
I'm also a history nerd, and I'm sad that I never got the annotated editions, but I couldn't afford them at the time. Well, here's the good news, Colin. The campaign is still open. So, like, if you want to get them, there you can get annotated Kyrie books 1 and 2 for $55. That's a very good deal. If not, I mean, they'll be available. Matt is going to have those available for purchase somewhere, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Um, so don't worry. He says still cannot afford them right now.
Maybe Colin, we've got a barter or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, slide into my
Uh,
DMs and see if you can.
all this
Yeah.
says riffing, very Canian indeed. He also said
Mm.
everything peaked with Claudius. I don't know if I agree with that. Especially since like Trajan is when literally everything peaked in terms of territory and what have you. But I mean, to each their
Yeah.
own.
Oh,
Um,
I almost want to say everything peaked with I Claudius, but it, but I mean, but then there's HBO's Rome, and it's kind of hard to like
oh,
to say I Claudius was better than. I mean, it's certainly very well written, but that's about the only thing, and well acted. But everything else was shoestrings for that show.
portrait commissions for $80. That's a good deal for a portrait by you. Like your portraits are good, dude.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I have
jokingly
fun.
bought I jokingly bought the one that you did of that one person, and I sent it to Neff. I wonder if they're still here.
Oh yeah, did Neff? I never heard
He
how that played out.
oh, I have a video of him like opening it and like a picture of him holding it up with like a hand over his face, laughing in shame. It was great.
Oh, good. Worth
Um,
every penny.
uh, oh look, Odin's a Trajan simp. Shocking. I'm not saying that that like I'm not saying oh everything was the greatest under him, but what I'm saying is that the Roman Empire, from a purely objective standpoint, reached its peak under Trajan. It was at its farthest reach under Trajan. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna call it the peak, that's kind of where it has to be. Oh look, trying to walk it back, also shocking. Everything peaked with Constantine the Great. I don't know about that, but anyways, uh, everything kind of went downhill after that. At least for the Western Empire. Eastern Empire got some solid some solid centuries left after that. The span of the empire makes it great. Okay, that's I guess. I would even say if we're talking about like truly Rome at its greatest point, I would say during the Flavian dynasty, maybe under
Sure.
Vespasian. Um, we need to do this as an episode of Aldous and Odin argue for 60 minutes. I
I'd
That
watch
sounds
that.
daunting. No, but Aldous and I were talking in the green screen after the reaction to the Napoleon trailer. We're probably going to because it's going to go on Apple TV. So we're going to stream. We're going to live stream us watching Napoleon and EFAPing it.
Oh my goodness. I was hoping you guys had a plan. I knew you guys probably did have a plan. That's great.
Like
I
like
can't
we
wait for that.
talked about it. It's on the table. I really want to do it. We're gonna have to get a lot of alcohol.
Yeah,
Like this
absolutely.
is going because that movie is 3 minutes. That movie is 3 hours, pretty much. It's like 2 hours and 57 minutes. Like it. that's going to be like an entire month and a half of content at least.
Yeah, that's gonna
Like,
be great. Yeah, ride that storm. It's gonna be good.
um,
Be a lot to say.
all right. So first of all, it wasn't Byzantium; it was Constantinople, and I disagree that it was the superior capital. Um, but the more I will give it this, the more that I learn about the Eastern Roman Empire, the more fascinated I am with it. Uh, it is an incredible, uh, it is an incredible empire that lasted way longer than it probably had any right to. Um, and how they managed that is nothing short of phenomenal. And they went out like a complete badass. The
Yeah.
Constantine the 11th Paleologos is one of the coolest, most underrated Roman emperors. Um, Aldous says, I'm going to go through so much whiskey. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's fair, buddy.
People are already making bets on what they're gonna do with his relationship with his first
So
wife, Helena,
Aldous
I
and
think.
Aldous and I pretty much came to the conclusion that Napoleon is going to be the next Alexander. It's going to be a movie where when it does its battle sequences, it's going to be fantastic. And then you're going to be like, man, that's really freaking good. And then everything surrounding the battle sequences is going to be sucky and horribly written and just god awful and overacted. Like it's
Oh no.
it looks awful. Um, I
Napoleon Bros.
yeah, no, it was bad. Oh man, please make sure that you watch that video if for no other reason than to hear Aldous go, "What the fuck?" when Josephine says the "you would be nothing without me" line, which he
Oh yeah.
almost missed. He almost missed. He was bitching about. I shouldn't say bitching. He was commenting on something else because I don't even think it was negative. He was giving some insights on something that had happened a few seconds earlier in the trailer, and it had carried on uh, over Josephine's dialogue. I was like, no, Aldous, this is the entire reason we did this video, so you could hear this line. So I paused it, rewound, and I was like, you have to be quiet, listen. And then the moment she said it, just the immediate knee jerk reaction from Aldous was priceless. Um, Colin Lampick says, I'm surprised Joaquin Phoenix didn't play Napoleon sooner. He looks just like him." I I agree. Well, like I don't think that Joaquin Phoenix is a bad casting. I mean, he's a great casting. The problem is that the movie is starting in 1793 when Napoleon was 24 years old, and there's no amount of makeup in the world that can make Joaquin Phoenix, who is 48 going on 60 because he's aged like dirt, look
Unfortunately.
like he's in his 20s. There's
Yeah.
no amount of makeup. And they didn't use de-aging technology because Ridley Scott's all practical, which I'm good with. But like at that point, you now have a problem where like Joaquin Phoenix with all this makeup still just looks tired and old, and he's opposite Josephine, who's supposed to be 10 years his senior. And it is actively a very important part of their dynamic. Uh, but anyways, uh, that being said, I believe we've got uh, just a few more minutes left in the stream. So we're gonna stop sharing Kyrie. If you guys have it
Yeah.
back, go
Let's talk
please go
about
back.
Judex. Yeah, this is going like I would be just so you guys know I would be fulfilling already if it wasn't for some kind of potential contraband or something that was in the shipment. Not in my books, I'm told, but in a box next to my books that came from uh from the country that printed the book,
You
and it held it
you
up in customs for a week while
you
they tried
heard
to
it
figure
here,
that out.
folks. You heard it here, folks. Kyrie has been involved in a smuggling racket.
Yeah.
Heard it here
It
first.
it's so good it might be illegal. So that's That's the summary. But by next week, it'll be fulfilling.
Aldous says everyone gets some China White with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Contraband. I'm shocked, positively shocked to find that there's drugs shipping out with Kyrie. Your crack pipe, sir. Anyways, so this is Judex. It is my current campaign. It is a rework of a old silent film character um, into this cultural defender of Paris. Um, I apologize for how I'm scrolling through. Uh, it's having issues loading on my computer, but from my phone where I am talking through, it's loading just fine. So I'm just going to look at that. But yeah, we had a very successful opening weekend. We launched and hit our funding goal within 20 minutes. Um, they're all going off in the chat. Uh, so we had a very successful opening weekend. We cleared 6K in the first 48 hours, and that was awesome. And this week we've hit a bit of a snag, and I haven't talked about it much on social media because we were trying to resolve it. But as of today, Indiegogo has decided to blow off our 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 requests for
Mm.
aid.
They're not responding.
No, they marked our issue as resolved, and it hasn't been resolved.
Mm.
We have been shadow banned. So Neff told me that I can talk about that a little bit. I don't want to I don't want to do the standard thing that a lot of creators will do. We're working on ways to get around it. We're doing outside promotion and everything like that. But I'll be putting the link in the description of the video. And Matt, could you grab the link and put it in the chat?
100%. Yep.
Um, so any help that we can get sharing this around. Um, so Colin Lamping says, I love Pulp Heroes, which is immediately followed by I hate you, because Aldous is the residential pulp expert. In fact, Aldus's channel on YouTube he uses to remaster the old Shadow audio dramas, and he does a phenomenal job. The Shadow radio broadcast, he does a great job remastering them. They sound phenomenal. But like pulp is his thing, and every single time, the original Judex was technically a silent film character, which is not technically pulp, but we have certainly transformed him into a very pulp style character. And every single time that that Aldous hears somebody call him a pulp character, it's I hate what you've done. It's great, but I hate what you've done. uh,
This campaign is really incredible. The creative vision that you guys have, and the time and frankly the money that's invested in making really quality offerings here is I mean, it's unmatched. Like, I haven't been able to do half the stuff you guys are offering here. It's really incredible. So I do hope people check out the campaign if you haven't already. I know a lot of people have, thankfully.
I'm trying to get it up in the chat. Let's see if I can do it. There we go. It went up. Cool. So the link is now in the chat. I'll make sure that it's in
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
the bio for the video for anyone watching on the replay. But yeah, we have a book I'm very proud of, with fantastic art by Fabrizio Ugolini, who's done work for like Heavy Metal Magazine, most notably. and we have some pretty outstanding value in our perk tiers. With our feature tier being a $50 tier that gets you all three of our variant covers, a glow in the dark pinup by Rich Ayala, and a Lamarian coin, as well as all of our stretch goal items, which we have unlocked, I believe, three or four of. You also get the Judex Black Terror crossover comic with Black Terror and Judex running into each other, being written by Von Klaus
That's
and being
great.
done by his production team for his art team for Black Terror, Terror in the Trenches. We have a digital tier that we are only doing 50 of, but it also comes with a free 3-month paid subscription to globalcomics.com, and that's for $10. Colin, I absolutely have no idea. I genuinely don't. Um, and you know what? Like, it's one of these things where you can either sit and wallow in it or you can find ways to move forward. And that's what Neff and I are doing. We are finding ways to move forward and keep getting this book in front of new audiences. It's going to take more work because we don't have Indiegogo pushing the algorithm, and we're pushing us through their algorithm and everything. And they've kind of been hamstringing us on that since the jump. So like it's unfortunate, but we're rolling with the punches and we're making the best of it. We've had an outstanding start, and we're looking to continue that outstanding start through the coming weeks. So any support you can give, whether it's a link share or a backing, is greatly appreciated. And if you know people who have channels that are looking for creators to come on, please let them know that we're looking to go on places. It is 30 pages of interior story, and we have a El Guapo tier for those people who just want the book and no stretch goal items. We're giving you the book, and if you're in the domestic United States, no shipping charge for $10.
Oh, that's good.
For Liberté, which gets you for $20, we have the book, the Marianne coin, the Rich Allah glow in the dark print, and all of our stretch goal items. And then Egalité gives you the main book, the glow in the dark print, the coin, and then you can choose between one of our variant covers. We have a beautiful Alex Ross Shadow Homage cover by Erwin Arosa, and then we have a awesome cover by Russ Leach that's both glow in the dark and has an embossed black on black Eiffel Tower in the background.
It looks incredible.
We have a hand painted cosplay mask, which 3 have been claimed. And that obviously gives you the book, the glow in the dark print, the coin, all the stretch goal items, and you get that. When you click on this, you actually have the option to add on the rest of the package for Fraternité for only $15. And on top of that, you pay no shipping for this tier. Hand of Justice, you can get the replica of the Widow, which is Judex's signature tool of justice made from the blade of the guillotine, hence the Widow or Le Veuve French. This obviously comes with the book, pinup, and coin with all of our stretch goal items, and that's at 500. And for 1,000, with 2 of 3 already claimed, you get everything, including a hand-tailored cape of Judex with the mask, the gun, and all of the books that we are providing on this campaign. It is separate. In order to get the crossover, I think you have to do the Fraternité tier at 50. But yeah, like
I mean, who is offering this? Like, other than than Odin. Like it's just really incredible.
But and to that effect, like it's Odin and Neff. Neff has been an incredibly big part of this book.
Hmm.
Uh, he's
Yeah,
and
props to Snuff.
this story is mine, but the script and everything, like I wrote the first draft of the script, and Neff and I worked on that thing and made it as perfect as we could. Um, and he's provided, the financial backing and production side of this, and he and Kim put together this campaign 48 hours before we launched, by the way, because they had been out of town in Japan uh, and what have you, and they did just a stellar job with this campaign. And then B Rose is saying, Rich killed that piece. He absolutely did.
Hmm.
Here's a better look at that. Look at that gorgeousness. And then here's that Erwin J. Arosa, Alex Ross, the Shadow homage. And then here's the Russ Leach, glow in the dark with the black on black embossed Eiffel Tower in the background.
Colin has a great question in the chat. So does the crossover come with the
Yeah,
normal book too, or is it separate?
yeah, and I had said that before. I think that
Hmm.
it's something that you have to get through the fraternity tier. Um, I don't know if there's a way to add it on. But it is a separate book. It is like it's an ash can. I think it's like 12 pages, eight to 12 pages. Um, but like it's a very fun script. I've read von Klaus's treatment. We gave him some edits which he took care of, but like it's very fun. It flows very well. And when you pair that uh, with his art team for the Black Terror, it's just going to be stellar. It's going to be a great story. So it's his team from Black Terror. It's I'm blanking on her last name, but her first name is Monica, and then the colorist is Tiago Barça.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So you've really
Here we go.
assembled a lot of the best artists in this.
Monica McCagni.
Oh, there
McCagni.
you
I'm
go.
going to pronounce that horribly wrong, but it's Monica McCagni and Tiago Barça uh, are the art team.
Yeah, yeah. So that's basically that's von Klaus's typical team, right?
Yeah, and
Which
they're
is
good.
pretty. They smash it every chance they get. Yeah, von Klaus is one of the best writers in this area, and he's got super professional artist team.
And here we go. And then here's some of the interiors from the actual book, with some of the written piece. I apologize for how long everything's taking to load. This page is so good.
Yeah.
Fabrizio really crushed this. I really wanted to make the film feel like a black and white movie. But
Yeah.
anyways, guys, that is all the time we have for tonight's show. Thank you so. Oh,
Yeah. One more.
no,
There's a
you
good
do not
question in the chat.
do not give Indiegogo money. The Indiegogo tip goes straight to the website. The website takes that. You press other and put 0. Do not give those bastards any money. Like it's they're already taking like 7 to 10% off of the campaign for marketing and uh and transaction fees. good job, Colin. Thank you so much for your support, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's excellent.
but thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight on When in Rome with Michael and Matt. It was a pleasure to get a chance to talk about Kyrie, which is a series that I absolutely adore and highly recommend. The third book really lived up to everything the previous two put out. And knowing what's coming in book four, I cannot wait. Um, and You guys are in for a treat. So thank you guys so much. This has been When in Rome with Michael and Matt. You have a good night. Matt, go on ahead and say goodbye to the nice, friendly people, and then I'm going to press the end button.
Yeah, thanks again for hanging out with us. Hope you guys had a fun hour. I know we did. Make sure definitely check out Judex and share the link because we got to get that ground level word of mouth spreading. As you can tell, this is a fantastic book series, and it's beyond just books. We've got there's so much. There's like a multimedia work of fantastic stuff, incredibly well written and drawn, and when you're done supporting Judex, consider if you haven't already uh, supporting Kyrie because we should be doing that next week.
All righty. Good night, guys.